Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in the capital of British Columbia, Canada. I hope that everybody has had a super week and I hope that you're all looking forward to a fantastic weekend. To kick off today's live IELTS classes, we've got two of them. This is the first. We are looking at IELTS Task 2 Writing, and we're going to be looking for a Band 9 on the IELTS Writing task. The topic for this will be media censorship. Media censorship, just a quick heads up, basically means to control the information in the media. So that's what that means. This lesson, everybody, is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Definitely check us out there. For the general IELTS, you can visit us at gieltshelp.com. Amu is asking, how am I doing today? I would say I'm at 90% now, so my energy is great. I still got a little bit of a cough, but I feel that it's going to be gone sooner than later. Thank you for asking. Carolina, welcome to our chat moderator. Again, students, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can click this Join Now button here to get access to our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So you only need to pay once, doesn't cost a lot. And you can use this discount code. The discount code is ULTIMATE9. Because ultimately our goal is to get a perfect score. And you can get a perfect score. You don't have to be a native speaker to get a perfect score. For the general IELTS, it looks like this. It's gieltshelp.com. And again, just click this big red button there that's right above my head to join our premium IELTS package. We are an official IELTS test registration center and certified agents, so you're in great hands with us. That's why we bear the IELTS British Council logo. So again, make sure to use our websites. And for your phones, you can use our apps. The apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. You can download those in your app stores. For Instagram, it's IELTS_AE help for academic and GIELTS help. We've got lots of vocabulary and other help on our Instagram profiles as well, so you can check that out. And if you have questions, you can simply just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. So that's my email there that I just highlighted in green. Welcome, Rashika. Hi, Rajanesh. Hi, Pooja. It's great to see more and more members joining in. Consistency is key to success. So coming to the classes and practicing regularly, that's key. If you're not a member, you're welcome to watch this class. If you'd like to join in on the comments and the work, then you can become a member of the channel by choosing one of the 4 tiers. Again, students, no classes on Wednesdays, okay? We have longer classes on Thursdays to Saturdays. So we've got enough time now in these classes to finish all the work, and finish we shall. So we're going to write a task 2 essay. It's the big essay. It's the 40-minute essay in this class. And task 2 is it's basically the same for both academic and general. So if you can write a good essay for the academic, you can write a good essay for the general exam too, for task 2. They've got the same kind of parts, very similar types of questions. So after this class, we will have an all-chat class. That all-chat class will be reading class. Sorry, that will be for subscribers, but I might have set it to all chat. I'll check it out after. And then tomorrow we've got speaking part 2 with some Q&A for members, and then speaking part 3 for everyone. Okay, so look forward to that for tomorrow. Welcome Hua Tuan to the class as well. All right, everyone. So writing task 2. This is a typical kind of question that you might see on your next IELTS exam. IELTS exams like to ask pertinent and provocative questions, and we've got this question for today. So the question reads, IELTS task 2 writing. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task, and definitely spend 40 minutes on the task. Every country controls its media content in some way. Discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. Give explanations and examples to support your opinion. Okay. So, interesting question, especially in today's world when we have so much media content, right? And I think most people are aware of this, so we've got some ideas around it. We talk about it. It's a common topic of discussion, I think, among people. And it says write at least 250 words. So usually the question that IELTS puts into task 2, it's a question that people are more or less familiar with. They're questions that you likely have heard before in conversation or in some kind of content, okay, or even in school. So step number 1, okay, is to make sure that you understand the question and you get some ideas of what to write. Okay, that's always step 1. So make sure you clearly understand the question and start to get ideas. And to do that, all you have to do is paraphrase the question. Okay? Now this is not your introduction. Okay? If all you do for your introductory paragraph is paraphrase the question, that's a weak introduction, and it's not going to get a very good mark. It'll only get like a band, maybe 5 or 6 if you write it perfectly, okay? So let's try to paraphrase this, and when you're practicing this at home, you can really just go step by step and keep it simple. So every country, we can paraphrase that as each nation. Country generally is nation, so each nation controls its media content in some way. Okay, control, what is that, right? So this is where we start thinking about like the what's. And by the way, members, so Amu, Pooja, Rajanesh, Rashika, I'm watching the chat. As you can see, it's right here on my screen. I'll restart the camera here so we get some movement, no worries there. So while I do that, you can definitely start with your paraphrasing, okay? So make sure to paraphrase the question. So do this with me, okay? All right. So write the question in your own words. Okay. All right. So again, I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking for what you have there, everyone. Okay. All right. So make sure to paraphrase with me. All right. Let's do this together. This is not just me doing it. This is us doing it together. Okay. All right, so I'm going to continue with my paraphrasing. When we say controls, right, what we're talking about is influences, right? So each nation influences the information shown in mass media. Okay, so mass media, we're thinking like the news, we're thinking like different types of social media, right? So each nation influences the information shown in mass media. And I would probably even venture to say that it's each nation's government. Because I think when we're talking about every country controls its media, we're really talking about the government, right? Okay. So I'm not seeing too much chatter yet, members. I'm not sure if my chat here is frozen, if you're seeing something that I'm not seeing, but hopefully not. I can restore the chat here and see if anything's happened. Well, no, not really. Crickets. Hi, Panda Bear. So paraphrase, okay? So each nation's government influences the information shown in mass media. Now, discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. So, explain the benefits or the advantages and disadvantages of controlling media. Okay. And instead of media, I could just say the news, right? Because we're really just talking about the news. The news is another way to say media. Okay. All right. Let me again pop out this chat and then bring you back to my lower screen here, members. All right. Carolina says it's not frozen. I think everybody's just really thinking on how to paraphrase this, Carolina, and I can see that Rashika here has a paraphrase, which is nice. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is my paraphrasing. All right. Here's the original. Every country controls its media content in some way. Discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. Give explanations and examples to support your opinion. Now I can tell that this essay is not asking for my personal opinion, so no I, me, or my, or us, or we. It's simply third person, so it's the people, it's society, it's the citizens, okay? And then here is my paraphrase. So each nation's government influences the information shown in mass media. Explain the advantages and disadvantages of controlling the news. And then, of course, you have to write at least 250 words, which should not be difficult when you're going for a band 7, a band 8, or a band 9 on the IELTS exam. Okay? All right, Rashika, let me grab what you wrote there as the paraphrase. And then we'll take a look at this. Okay, so this is Rashika's paraphrase of the question. So instead of any authorities, Rashika, I would write national authorities. Okay. Because I think that makes a lot more sense. So instead of any authorities, like I don't think any authority can regulate the news, but national authorities definitely. So be specific with your paraphrasing, Rashika. But otherwise, I like it. I like the way that you're starting. So national authorities tend to regulate news topics somehow. I wouldn't use the word somehow. They have some very clear methods, right? They have technology on their side to stop the news, or they have control over the media stations to show news that they want to show, okay? So explain the advantages and disadvantages of prohibition in mass media. Are you sure it's just prohibition? So yes, some of it's prohibition, but some of it is also deciding what to show, right? So disadvantages of prohibition and deciding content in mass media. So when you're paraphrasing, make sure not to limit yourself. That's a really important tip, right? So be sure not to limit your thoughts, okay? Let me put it up here, okay? So make sure that you paraphrase accurately and that you do not limit the scope of your ideas. Okay? All right. Okay, now we've got some more paraphrasing. I can see that Amu has paraphrased as well. Very nice, Amu. Okay. All right, let's see what we have here. So Amu says, each kingdom expurgate the content. I don't know this word expurgate, Amu. I'm not sure if you looked this up, but I don't know it. Expurgates, because it's each is plural, okay, and it's countable. Kingdom is a bit weird because we don't really have kingdoms anymore, only very few in the world, like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, for example. Okay, so we don't really have kingdoms, so it's a little bit more accurate to say each country. Right? If there's no correct way to paraphrase, then don't force it. So each country expurgates the content from the channel in one or other ways. The content of mass information. We need more clarity there. In one form or another. Enlist is a bit off. Okay, so explain the advantages and disadvantages of suppressing information in the media. Okay, I don't know if it's just entertainment, so careful with that. It's not bad. I can tell, Amu, that you're probably using like a thesaurus to help you paraphrase and learn some new vocabulary, which is great. That's a good technique. Just do make sure that when you're applying new words like expurgates, you ask other people whether or not that's clear or accurate in that content. I'm not familiar with that word, so you'll have to ask somebody else, okay? All right. Rajanesh, I see your paraphrase as well. That's great. Rajanesh, keep going. I promise I will review your writing as well a little bit later on. But let's go to the next step so that we can keep moving along. So again, the original question, and when you're paraphrasing and you're doing practice at home, and when you're writing your task in your official IELTS task, make sure to always come back to the original question. So this is a very important tip, everyone. Okay? So this is a very, very important tip. When you are writing your essay, okay, so this is a big tip, very important. As you write your essay, make sure to come back and read the original question at least a couple times as you work on your essay, just to make sure that you are focusing on the right information. Okay? It's probably the biggest mistake and the most common mistake for IELTS candidates is they start with the right ideas and then they slowly kind of just slide off into Never Never Land and start writing off topic. Okay, so be careful about that. All right, so now we want to kind of think about the topic and the controlling idea. So what is the topic here? What are we writing about? Okay. What is the topic? What are we writing about? That's what we need to decide first. Okay. You have to very clearly identify the topic when you write an essay, because if you don't have a clear idea of the topic, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, or it's simply just lucky, to write an accurate essay. So we've read the question a couple of times. What's the topic? What are we focusing on in this essay? Okay. And this is, we have to go quickly here, members, so let's not dawdle. Because we have a little bit of lag, I'm just going to kind of start giving this information. And as you give me information, I'll check the chat and see if you've added something new that maybe I missed, okay? In my opinion, the topic here is media censorship. Okay, so it's censoring media. Censoring media means controlling the media, means deciding what does and what does not go into the information shown to the public, right? And the controlling idea are advantages and disadvantages of controlling the information in the news. Okay, so that's what it is. All right, and I can see that Amu and Saeed are on the same page. Saeed says media censorship. Yeah, absolutely, Saeed. Be confident. So when you decide on the topic, be confident. Okay, now strategy. Think what, why, and how about the topic and controlling ideas to gather good information for your essay. In your official exam, you will do most of this in your head and take a few notes on paper. While preparing at home, it is very important that you do all of this brainstorming on paper. Okay? So make sure you do it on paper. Okay, here we go. So first of all, what is, okay, so this would be question 1. What is media censorship? Okay, answer. And you can give me answers here, members. So again, if you come up with some ideas that I personally don't see or think of, that's great. Okay, we can't all come up with great ideas all the time. So here we go. So what is media censorship? It means controlling the information that is shown or not shown to the public at a certain time. Okay, so that's what it is. There's a given time, 6 o'clock news on April 22nd. We're going to show you this news and we're not going to show you that news, right? We're controlling the information shown to the public. That's media censorship. Okay, why? So why does media censorship exist? So why not just let it go the other way? And if you can think of other questions, the other ways to look at that, that's great, right? So the other question that immediately pops into mind here for me is, Why is there no absolute freedom of speech? Okay, which really is the opposite side here. And if you get that concept, right, so you get this question in your mind, you're definitely kind of thinking in the right way, and you're thinking globally, right? So why is there no complete freedom of speech? Why does media censorship exist? What's the purpose? What's the reason for it, right? So as far as I know, and again, just think, you know, if I ask 100 people, what kind of answers would I get? What do most of my friends say? Dads often like to talk about politics. What would my dad say about this, right? So why does media censorship exist, right? It exists to control the larger population's beliefs, to motivate them to action or inaction. Okay? So if you ask me, that's what I would say. So I would say that, you know, the reason we censor media is because we want to control the beliefs of the larger population, what people think is real and what they think is not real. And that will, of course, translate into behavior. So the population doing or not doing something, right? Okay, so question number 3. This is the how question, right? So how does media censorship happen? Okay, and now here, when you're thinking about how does it happen, think about the real world, okay? So how does it happen? I would imagine, I mean, this is the part where we kind of use our imaginations, right? Because most of us are not privy to actually seeing this happen. I'm sure some of us would be shocked if we saw this happen, but we don't have that, most of us don't have that kind of privilege to see how it happens, but we can kind of imagine. So the answer here for me is a person in a position of power tells the media stations what content can be allowed to air on TV news, social media, and the internet. And it is regulated using control systems in technology, right? The push of a button, if you will, right? Enter or stop, right? Okay, so that's how it happens. Somebody, John, goes to the media station and says, hey, you can show this on the news, or you can't show this on the news. Or, hey, Google, we want you to pull this information from the internet, create some programs, some software, some robots that find any information containing this keyword and remove it from the internet. So we get media censorship. And sure enough, it is in existence today, and we all know that it's happening. So Amu says it's the suppression of ideas, words, or images. Yeah, and not necessarily offensive, Amu. It could be for other reasons as well. Okay, so then let's go to the controlling idea. So let's ask the next question, right? What are the advantages of censoring media? Okay, and I'd like to maybe give you a little bit of a chance to answer this. I was kind of almost thinking getting some calls from, or doing this through voice and audio, okay, through open discussion, but maybe I'll forego it just so we can move along with the essay a little bit more smoothly. So what are the advantages of censoring media? Like, why would that benefit society? Okay, surely it can't all be bad. I think a lot of people immediately jump to the assumption that it's bad. So that's of course going to be our next question, right? Is what are the negatives of censoring media? And I think, a lot of people, because people really believe in the power of freedom of speech, a lot of people are very biased to the idea that it's negative to censor media, that we should all have the ability for freedom of speech. But it's important not to be emotional. So academic writing, intelligent writing, good writing, you want to kind of keep yourself objective. You want to be able to keep emotions away. So most people would think this, but it is important to be non-emotional when you are coming up with ideas for an academic essay especially. Okay, and I would actually strongly argue that there are advantages to censoring the media as well. Amu says to limit. Okay, Amu, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but I like what you're writing. So Amu says to stop immoral or anti-religious works. I don't know about anti-religious works, but definitely immoral. So to limit or stop immoral and offensive propaganda. Okay, people might not be telling the truth, right? So it could be to limit or stop offensive propaganda. Sure. Also, maybe the government has decided that they're going to show people eating healthy and people doing exercise, right? So they're going to show lots of that in the media. So we could look at it from the other side as well, to encourage positive behavior in the public. And some people are probably laughing like, yeah, the government never does that. You can immediately think from the example up. So think of an example. What would be an example of showing a certain type of behavior in the media that's encouraging the public to take positive action? And hopefully we'll have more and more of this in the media in the future, but we definitely have some of it now, and I've seen some in the media. So what is positive information, where basically the authorities say you have to show this? It's important, people need to see it, and this is going to encourage positive behavior. So what can you think of? I can definitely think of one or two ideas for this, okay? So think of examples, right? In this case, the example is encouraging positive behavior, because that's also a way to control or censor media, is to show positive behavior. Okay. All right. So that, for me, maybe you're thinking, would be like taking care of the environment. Doing recycling, right? So if we're showing that in the news, then instead of people behaving poorly, then that will encourage positive behavior, right? Okay. Okay, so what are the negatives of censoring media? Okay, what's bad about it? This is the side that a lot of people argue strongly for. They say, hey, when the government controls media, it's really bad. Okay. I would say, so the answer here would be manipulating the majority of the population to benefit the elite minority, right? So one way that people say it's negative is that the media is controlled by a few very powerful people, and they don't care about the benefit or the prosperity of the majority. And what they try to do is they try to gain more control, more power, more money for a few people by controlling the media, right? So manipulating the majority of the people or the population to benefit an elite minority, leading to suffering, right? So a lot of people having issues. Yeah, and Engin says deceiving people from the truth. So yeah, so as humans, we feel that we have a moral right to the truth. Okay, good. So now we have all this information, great information, and we can come up with our thesis statement, right? So what is media censorship? Controlling the information that is shown or not shown to the public at a certain time. Why does it exist? To control the beliefs and motivate people to action or inaction. How? By forcing the content into the internet, into the news. The advantages are to stop negative propaganda and to encourage good behavior. The negatives are to create propaganda and to lead to pain and suffering, right? So we can create the thesis, okay? So the thesis statement, everybody, and I still see so many essays that don't have a good thesis statement for the IELTS, which is really not good, okay? You have to, if you talk to IELTS examiners, people that actually do mark these essays, not IELTS teachers, not some weird internet video or source, but the actual people. Again, we're partners with British Council. We are certified British Council agents. We have discussions about IELTS writing all the time with examiners. And they all say you need to have a thesis statement. Okay, so keep this in mind. IELTS examiners need to see a thesis statement in your introductory paragraph. For band scores 6.5 and higher. Okay. So you need to have a thesis statement. All right. Thesis is a clear sentence that gives the direction of your writing. Okay. So for example, this would be a thesis statement for this essay. Okay. The benefits of, let's see the original question. When you write the thesis, it's good to look at the original question. So the original question is, each country controls its media content in some way. Discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. Okay, so the benefits of censoring the media at the national government level are discouraging negative behaviors while encouraging positive ones, and the negatives are take a look at your negatives: manipulating the majority and suffering. The negatives are manipulating the public for personal gain and hiding the truth. Okay, so that would be my thesis statement. Okay, and it's really weird too, like I have to voice this, that when I start talking about the thesis statement, I actually sometimes see some of our viewership go down. Like people are like, oh, they're probably like, oh, my teacher said I don't need a thesis, or what's this thesis? It doesn't make sense. I'm just gonna write a paraphrase for my introduction and then my essay. And people are getting lots and lots of people are getting very low scores in their writing section for the IELTS exam, and it's because they're not writing good essays. They're writing templates that are actually not even accurate. So they're like bad templates. They're not even good templates. And it's really sad. It's sad to see that. So I hope to change the world. I hope that this does not get censored. Welcome to our new member. I see that we've got a new member joining in on the class. That's fantastic. Okay. All right, so this is my thesis. The thesis statement is the most important sentence of your essay. So you want to read, and reread your thesis. Make sure it's good. Here, the benefits of censoring the media at the national government level are discouraging negative behaviors while encouraging positive ones. And the negatives are manipulating the public for personal gain and hiding the truth. Okay. So I'm happy with that thesis statement. I think that summarizes my ideas. By the way, the thesis statement can be 2 sentences. So if you have trouble putting it all into one sentence like this, you can do it in 2 sentences. So you can write the benefits in 1 sentence, and then you can write the negatives in a 2nd sentence. Okay, and now you're ready for the introductory paragraph. The introductory paragraph has 3 parts. Okay, so the introductory paragraph has a hook plus background plus thesis. Okay, it's not like Adrian is telling you this. No, it's standard. This is it. This is what a persuasive essay has. It has these 3 parts. Okay, so the hook is a simple and interesting sentence that deals with the topic, that captures the topic. Okay, so something simple. So here, the hook is media censorship. Okay, we're talking about media censorship. It's the topic. What are we talking about, right? So let's do this. Authorities or governments have controlled public information in the media for centuries. Okay? Which is true. So as long as governments have had the ability to control the information in the public, they've done so. I would imagine even going back to the Romans, a couple thousand years, they probably controlled what information the public heard or what they didn't hear. And that makes sense, right? They've got good reasons for it, okay? And so these parts, the hook, the background, these are coming from your planning. So once you plan your essay, okay, once you think about the what, why, how for the topic and controlling idea, the rest of this is quick. It's simple, okay? So make sure that you're contributing. So P2003212, our new number sequence, Amu, Pooja, Rajanesh, Carolina, write. Okay, write the hook, write the background, write the thesis. I think a lot of you have an idea about this structure. If you don't, you can always send me an email if it's still unclear. But I want you to write. Okay, so I want to finish this essay with you in this class. And I'm going to look at your writing. Okay, try to be quick and fluent. Remember, for the IELTS, you only have 40 minutes. Okay, so governments have controlled public information in the media for centuries. Authorities have used their power to decide the content that is allowed and prohibited from entering the mainstream of citizens at any given time. Okay. By controlling or by influencing the mechanisms such as the printing press or TV, okay, now let me just read, make sure I'm not kind of going off and out to lunch. So authorities have used their power to decide the content that is allowed and prohibited from entering the mainstream of citizens at any given time by influencing the mechanisms such as the printing press or TV used to inform the public. Okay, so before the TV, it was probably the newspapers, right? Okay, and then comes my thesis. Okay, and here is my thesis. So keep in mind, everyone, that I am showing you a band 9 piece of writing here. So if some of you are like, oh, but I don't know those words, or it's hard for me to write a sentence like that, it's okay. You can write it in a simpler way. This is just me showing you how you can do it once you reach that band 9 level of writing, okay? So this would be my introductory paragraph here. Okay, governments have controlled public information in the media for centuries. Authorities have used their power to decide the content that is allowed and prohibited from entering the mainstream of citizens at any given time by influencing the mechanisms, such as the printing press or TV, used to inform the public. The benefits of censoring the media at the national government level are discouraging negative behaviors while encouraging positive ones. And the negatives are manipulating the public for personal gain and hiding the truth. Now, I have the word negative once and then again twice in the same sentence. You want to avoid that. Okay, you do not want to have the same word repeating in the same sentence. It's awkward. Okay, so you need to paraphrase it. Okay, so instead of negatives, I would just write the deficits are. Okay. All right, now, this is my body paragraph point number 1 here. Okay, And this is my body paragraph 2 right here. Okay, so body 1, kind of the orangey color, and then body 2 is the purple color. Okay. All right, Rashika, I think that's your thesis statement there, so I like it. Okay, this is what Rashika wrote. I told you I'm checking the chat. You think I've kind of gone off on my own rant here, but I haven't. I promise you, I'm still looking at the chat. Okay. So Rashika says the benefits of controlling media content by authorities are avoiding mental trauma of children while encouraging positive ideas, and the disadvantages are preventing the implantation of personal ideas in the public and hiding the truth. Okay. It's not bad, Rashika. I think that you're kind of limiting your essay because when you say that mental trauma for children, I don't actually agree with that. I think that's a hard point to sell. I think there's a lot of media that's quite bad for kids, but it's shown anyway. I don't really think that we're really focusing just on children when we're controlling the media. So I don't know if I would go off on that tangent, Rashika. Okay. So when concepts in the media are controlled, it's more for the sake of controlling the larger public. Okay. Okay. So let's get into body paragraph 1. So body 1 has a topic sentence plus explanation plus example plus connecting sentence. Okay, that's what body paragraph 1 has. And basically you go through these steps one at a time. So a topic sentence simply is a deeper explanation of what you mean by discouraging negative behaviors while encouraging positive ones. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, so Amu, Pooja, and again, start writing on this. Okay, remember 40 minutes, students, so you have to practice writing quickly as well. Okay, so often let me just fix my formatting here. Often the government removes content from the media which it feels will or can, let's not use will, let's not go to the future tense, which it feels can incite. Incite? Incite means to start, incite, like that with an I. So often the government removes content from the media which it feels can incite conflict and violence in the public and replaces this information which leads to behavior that improves the quality of life for its citizens. Okay, so this is a deeper definition of this idea of discouraging negative behaviors. What are negative behaviors, right? Conflict and violence, where people are attacking each other and are arguing with each other. And what are positive behaviors? Well, positive behaviors are behaviors that make life better for people, so improving the quality of life, right? Engin says, by censoring immoral information in the media, people, especially children, do not get exposed to content. Students, don't focus so much on children. I'm not sure what this big focus is on children. The media, yes, part of it, I'm sure, is censored for children, but that's just a part of it. I think if you get lost in just like a part of the picture, so you don't see the whole picture, it's hard to get a high mark on your IELTS essay if you're just seeing part of the picture. You need to try to see the big picture, right? Okay, so now we want to explain this, right? So what kind of media leads to conflict and violence, right? So certain types of prejudice, propaganda that attacks the religion, beliefs, and behaviors of social groups must be removed by authorities in order, or just simply by authorities to stop aggression from happening. Instead, they can use this airtime. Airtime is the time that's used in media, okay, so it's called airtime. Instead, they can use this airtime to show positive behaviors such as collaboration and environmental awareness, which leads to a better society. Okay? So all I'm doing here is I'm just visualizing the media. So, for example, right, this is the example. Instead of showing the conflict between Russians and Ukrainians, the government opts to show a group of children picking up garbage in their neighborhood. Okay? So instead of inciting conflict or promoting conflict, we see different information, right? And we can actually see this type of censorship. So a lot of the news around Ukraine and Russia is controlled in the media right now of what can and cannot be shown on the internet, right? So there's mass media control happening. Maybe they'll stop my live stream for even saying this, okay? All right, so instead of showing the conflict between Russians and Ukrainians, the government opts to show a group of children picking up garbage in their neighborhood. Okay, certainly. So this is my connecting sentence, okay? So certainly this type of control in the media can benefit society. or it can benefit the public. All right. Now, as soon as you finish a body paragraph, as soon as you finish a paragraph, so you should always review it. Okay, this is a very important tip, right? So, tip. Once you finish writing a paragraph, you should always review it for language accuracy and content. So pay attention to grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, and repetitive information. Okay, that's not needed. So that's what we're paying attention to. Okay, so we reviewed our introductory paragraph. Now I'm going to review my body paragraph. Often the government removes content from the media which it feels can incite conflict and violence in the public and replaces this information which leads to behavior that improves the quality of life for its citizens. Certain types of prejudice propaganda that attacks the religion, beliefs, and behaviors of social groups must be removed by authorities to stop aggression from happening. Instead, they can use this airtime to show positive behaviors such as collaboration and environmental awareness, which leads to a better society. Instead of showing the conflict between Russians and Ukrainians, many governments, so instead of the government, I would say many governments, opt to show groups of children picking up garbage in their neighborhood. Certainly this type of control in the media can benefit the public. Okay. I'd like to finish that sentence for further clarity. Okay, P200, 3212. Thesis statement. I'm watching the chat. Don't think I've forgotten about the chat. So while you're watching me explain this, you should also be thinking about your topic sentence, your explanations, and your examples. So P200 says, the advantages of censoring the media by authorities are protecting citizens from negative speech, and the negative sides are powerful minority may easily dictate the ideas and hide the truth. Okay, make that more concise. And so one really important step when you're working on your writing and improving your writing for the IELTS exam and also for your professional life in your school is to be concise. Magical word of the day, be concise. So P200, the advantages of censoring the media are protecting citizens from negative speech, and the deficits are dictating ideas and hiding the truth. Okay, I took out about 30% of what you wrote, and it still makes sense, and it's still good. Okay, speech and comments, comments and speech, same idea. Don't be redundant. Don't repeat the same concept. Okay. Thumbs up. Yeah. So comments, speech, same idea. Okay. All right. So now I'm into my second body paragraph here. Let me just get my camera rolling again. It should not be a problem for me here. Just give me a second. Okay. While I do that, get the topic sentence ready for the next body paragraph. So, manipulating the public for personal gain and hiding the truth. Okay, write a topic sentence for that. All right. Okay, there you go. I am moving once again. Okay. All right. Next body paragraph, topic sentence. Okay. So manipulating the public for personal gain, hiding the truth. Okay. Let's connect this. So this is body paragraph 2. Here we go. Body paragraph 2. It has the same parts as body paragraph. Body paragraphs have the same parts. No matter if it's 2, 3, 4. So body paragraph 2 also will have the topic sentence. Also will have the explanation, the example, and you can write a connecting sentence, but the IELTS, you don't have a lot of time. So because you have a conclusion coming after body paragraph 2, usually you don't necessarily need a connecting or a concluding sentence. It's not necessary. Okay, so here we go. Conversely, government control can also lead to the, let's unbold that, the same negatives that they aim to eliminate from the media, meaning public unrest and personal gain through negative propaganda, through destructive. Try to stay away from that word negative, right? We don't want words to repeat over and over and over again in the essay. So if you find yourself writing the word negative, 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 like I am, you have to stop yourself and you have to rethink the way that you're expressing your ideas, rethink your sentence structure so that you can avoid those words. That takes time and effort, and that's really what you want to practice at home, not to get stuck in these loops of using the same words or the same ideas, right? So meaning public unrest and personal gain through destructive propaganda. Indeed, it has been commonly, so this is my explanation, okay? So first one, here's my topic sentence. Okay, now comes my explanation. Okay, indeed, it has been commonly observed in history that authorities controlled information in newspapers and on TV to promote war, for the economic gain of elite individuals in positions of power, right? We're not strangers to this, so I think most people are aware of this idea that throughout history, there have been lots of situations where certain types of information are shown in the newspapers or on TV, which makes people believe an idea that's maybe only partially true, so not completely true. And that has led to war and conflict, okay? And the oppression of minority groups, right? So one of the most common examples of this is the propaganda spread before the start of World War II. In Germany for the oppression of minority ethnic groups. Right? So it was Jewish people, but not just Jewish people. It was actually a lot of other ethnic groups. So they said basically anybody who is not the Aryan race is not entitled to having a quality of life in Germany. And of course that led to major conflict. And of course it was one of the big contributing factors to World War II. And I think most of us are familiar with this example, so we don't need to overthink it, right? So conversely, government control can also lead to the same negatives that they aim to eliminate from the media, meaning public unrest and personal gain through destructive propaganda. Indeed, it has been commonly observed in history that authorities controlled information in newspapers and on TV, promote war for the economic gain of elite individuals in positions of power. One of the most common examples of this is the propaganda spread before the start of World War II in Germany for the oppression of minority groups. This has certainly led to much suffering among large groups of people. Okay, all right. Okay, B200, I see your topic sentence. B200 says, media censorship may also become a double-edged sword, as authorities could easily filter information in favor of themselves and eliminate critics that abysmally affect the freedom of speech. P200, that's a great topic sentence. I love it. I made a few corrections in real time as I was reading that. Okay, so make sure to pay attention to that. Engin says many governments interfere in the media so that people are deprived of the truth shown in TV and on social media networks. Okay, Engin, good. I made a couple of slight corrections there as well. Very nice, though. Rashika says governments always take action to remove information about personal beliefs released to the public that prohibits the independence of ideas and can increase public stress. Yeah, Rashika, I think you're onto something. So these are all really good. Rashika, P200, Engin, they're nice. Now focus on the explanation. So explain to me what you mean by that. So Rashika, what does it mean to remove personal thoughts? What does it mean to prohibit independence? P200, what does it mean to favor them? And what does it mean to affect the freedom of speech? Why is that bad? Why is not having freedom of speech bad? Okay. Engin, what does it mean to be deprived of the truth? Why should we have a right to the truth? So explain that in your body paragraph, okay? Think about examples. One way to help your explanation is think about the example. So what's an example of removing freedom of speech? Think about an example in your own country, or think about a classic example in history and some other countries. Certainly there are lots, okay? Okay, so again, review the body paragraph after you finish writing it. Okay. So conversely, government control can also lead to the same negatives that they aim to eliminate from the media, meaning public unrest and personal gain through destructive propaganda. Indeed, it has been commonly observed in history that authorities controlled information in newspapers and on TV promote war for the economic gain of elite individuals in positions of power. One of the most common examples of this is the propaganda spread before the start of World War II in Germany for the oppression of minority ethnic groups. This has certainly led to much suffering among large groups of people. Conclusion. And we're done. Conclusion has a few parts, okay, 3 parts. So part 1, restate your key points. Okay, paraphrase that. Part 2, okay, strengthen your argument. And part 3, give a take-home message. There's a very clear one here. Wonder if everybody else will come up with the same idea for the take-home messages I have writing this paper. You're very welcome, P200 and Endgame. Okay, so IELTS, keep it simple. In IELTS, you just want to write in conclusion. You will learn that in university and in college, professors actually will often ask students, do not write in conclusion because it's cliche and it's not necessary. In an essay, people know that the last paragraph is a conclusion or a summary. So generally speaking, we don't write in conclusion or in summary in these academic essays in university or college. But in the IELTS, they actually like it. In the IELTS, they like this kind of like, okay, just tell me that it's a conclusion and you know that it's a conclusion. So in conclusion, okay, and then conclude your key points, right? So in conclusion, merits of media control are inhibiting content that leads to public or civil unrest. Okay. So in conclusion, merits of media control are inhibiting content that leads to civil unrest, but the deficits cause the opposite: conflict and aggression. Argument. Strengthened. History shows that government control of mass media has indeed led to both positives and negatives for society. Take home message. Take home message. THM. Okay. Start of it is the key points again. So key points. Okay. Then the argument. Then my take home message. Therefore, it is not whether or not. I'm going to think about how to write that a bit better in a second, but I'll get the idea out first. Sometimes when you're writing, it's just important to get your idea down on paper and then you can revise it after. So you can revise once the idea is on paper, just so that you don't lose that idea, okay? So therefore, it is not whether or not governments ought to censor media, but rather the good or bad intention that is important to consider, right? So after writing this essay, and this is where, when you have a good essay, you'll eventually have a good conclusion. You'll have good ideas, and a good introduction and a good conclusion lead to high band scores. To get a band 9, which is virtually impossible in the writing section of the IELTS, you basically have to have an amazing conclusion. And I don't just mean the English. I actually mean the content, like what you're telling. Like you almost have to wow the examiner, okay? Keep this in mind. In order to get a band 9 in the IELTS writing section, your conclusion has to wow the examiner. Okay? We've talked to examiners and they've said, like, well, the only time I give a band 9 is if I feel the candidate wrote a better essay than I can write. I've heard IELTS examiners say that. Like, the only time I give a band 9 for an essay is when I read it and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's better than I can write. That's a better essay than I could write for this question. And then they're like, okay, I'll give them a band 9. They're expert, okay? Because I think even the examiner themselves are humble in the sense that they think they can only write a very good essay. So you actually have to basically write better than the examiner to get a band 9. I know that sounds hardcore, but that's the reality, okay? So you have to kind of leave the examiner with this wow factor, like, wow, what an amazing conclusion, how enlightening it is, okay? So therefore, it is not about the government censoring media, but rather the good or bad intention they have that is important to consider. Okay. P200 is asking, do we have to pick a side or do we leave it undecided? P200, that's a good question. In this case, you don't pick a side because the question doesn't ask you to, okay? Always pay attention to the question. So in this question, and we'll read that before we read our whole essay, it doesn't ask you to pick a side. It says just discuss both the pros and cons. So it's discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. Give explanations and examples to support your opinion. It doesn't say which is better. And it makes sense, right? In this case, it would be weird to pick a side because there's no, I mean, if you tried to argue one side over the other, it would be awkward, right? Like arguing that media should go uncontrolled is a bit awkward. Arguing that media should be controlled completely is also awkward. So here we have both pros and cons, and it's just more important to understand both sides rather than saying one side is better than the other. The question doesn't ask you for that. So if the question doesn't say which side is better or which is more important, don't answer that question. It's not necessary. Always pay attention to the original task 2 question. So the original task 2 question here is every country controls its media content in some way. Discuss the pros and cons of media censorship. Give explanations and examples to support your opinion. Write at least 250 words. Some good planning. Governments have controlled public information in the media for centuries. Authorities have used their power to decide the content that is allowed and prohibited from entering the mainstream of citizens at any given time by influencing the mechanisms such as the printing press or TV used to inform the public. The benefits of censoring the media at the national government level are discouraging negative behaviors while encouraging positive ones, and the deficits are manipulating the public for personal gain and hiding the truth. Often, the government removes content from the media which it feels can incite conflict and violence in the public and replaces this information, which leads to behavior that improves the quality of life for its citizens. Certain types of prejudice propaganda that attacks the religion, beliefs, and behaviors of social groups must be removed by authorities to stop aggression from happening. Instead, they can use this airtime to show positive behaviors such as collaboration and environmental awareness, which leads to a better society. Instead of showing the conflict between Russians and Ukrainians, many governments opt to show groups of children picking up garbage in their neighborhood to help save the environment. Certainly, this type of control in the media can benefit the public. Conversely, government control can also lead to the same negatives that they aim to eliminate from the media, meaning public unrest and personal gain through destructive propaganda. Indeed, it has been commonly observed in history that authorities controlled information in newspapers and on TV promote war for the economic gain of elite individuals in positions of power. One of the most common examples of this is the propaganda spread before the start of World War II in Germany for the oppression of minority ethnic groups. This has certainly led to much suffering among large groups of people. In conclusion, merits of media control are inhibiting content that leads to civil unrest, but the deficits cause the opposite: conflict and aggression. History shows that government-controlled mass media has indeed led to both positives and negatives for society. Therefore, it is not about the government censoring media, but rather the good or bad intention they have that is important to consider. Okay, so that is a full essay. It's probably about 320 words. That would be my guess. Okay. Band 9 essays will almost always be more than 250 words. Again, we've talked to lots of examiners and they agree, and they all say that Band 8, Band 9 essays are almost impossible to write in the minimum word limit in the 250 words. Okay, don't go overboard, don't go overkill. So don't do what I did in my IELTS exam, write like 500 words. That's not good either. But you should probably write around 300 to 350 words maybe for task 2 if you are really going for that high band score, that band 8 or that band 9. Okay. So again, just to reiterate, good essay writing has good planning. You understand the question clearly. You have a good thesis statement. You have all parts of the introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion with accurate grammar and specific original ideas, not using templates like firstly, on the other hand. If you do that, you might get an okay mark, but you're not going to get a truly high mark on your essay writing. Okay. All right, everyone. So again, this was an IELTS Task 2 writing on media censorship, Band 9. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I definitely enjoyed reading some of the comments and sentences by our members. Please do go to aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Again, on our websites, this is our general IELTS website here. You can simply click this big red button that's just above my head there to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So click on that and you're good to go. For the academic IELTS, same idea. Click this big red button there. Okay, so boom, there it is. And then join our premium package. We hope to help as many students as we can. And again, we are an official IELTS test registration center and certified agent. So we help hundreds of students, hundreds of students, and you can read their testimonials. All real, all original. Okay, so students, I will be back in 30 minutes with a reading passage. For students, this reading passage could be either a general or an academic reading passage. It could be section 3 of the general, so check it out. Okay, stay tuned, come back in half an hour. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating the chat, for contributing. Thank you, members, for your support. I hope to see all of you back in 30 minutes. We're going to do a fun new reading, and so check that out. Rashika, good work. I will be back. Bye, everybody.